And she looks at her arm. She says, "This isn't my arm. My arm's in the grave and it has a cut on it."
Everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
And I'm going to laugh now because I missed the opportunity beforehand to do it, just to keep the record going, starting every episode with a giggle. Anyway, we had a good weekend this weekend, didn't we, Tressa?
We had the most fun. Because what did we do, Jeni?
We went to the Séance at the Roff house.
That's
and cool. Yes, and our guests tonight are the people who ran it, who put it on. We have our delightful friend DeEtte, who is a wonderful psychic and medium, the psychic and medium there. And then we have Larry Eissler, who we adore, and he does all sorts of things, all wonderful things. Go back and listen to their episodes. And then we also have Neal Gibbons, who runs Graveside Paranormal. And is a really, again, like just the nicest people that you could possibly imagine. Treated us very well. We're in a beautiful event. The town is really, I've never been to Watsika.
No, it's very, very small.
It is very, very small. It's a lot smaller than I was imagining.
Oh, it was about right for me.
Was it? Okay. But they had a beautiful museum that recorded a lot of the town's history. And then, of course, this gorgeous house and all kinds of cool stuff. And there were some vendors that came out. And yeah, it was a good time. We did stay and see the entire seance. We were in the outside ring, which was really neat. I've never actually been to one in my adult life.
Oh, but you were as a child?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're messing around with your friends in like high school or like junior high, or you're like, we're going to have a seance. And
so no, then?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you know, whatever. It was a lot of fun, and it was interesting to see. I have this thing where I go to these things where I'm around like psychics or mediums, and I'm sorry?
Hide?
Yes. Well, sometimes I hide because I'm afraid that they're going to see into the depths of my soul, and my soul is going to come up like,
terrifying.
Oh, no, thank you.
No.
Yeah. And then I have this other thing where I so very much want to hear from my loved ones who have passed. But at the same time, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I realized this weekend as we were sitting there, you know, I don't actually need to. I love that people want to reach out. I love that they get, the confirmation and the relief that a lot of people felt was very palatable.
Oh, absolutely.
It was really nice to see. I mean, very sad, obviously, but good. And, you know, I feel like these people, whatever your beliefs are, whatever your whole thing is on the afterlife, these people never really leave us, right?
Right.
Because they're part of who we are. That's just how it goes. And they're with you constantly, in my personal opinion. But for the rest of it, we're going to bring on our guests and have them talk about some of the history and then discuss the seance a little bit. So please help me welcome DeEtte, Larry, and Neal.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
So we love seeing all three of you, delightful human beings.
Ladies up top, let's go.
I noticed that DeEtte left us to join the top row.
Yeah, she did.
She deserves it.
Do it again.
Oh, thank you.
She's like, you two stay down there.
Yeah, boys.
Me and my white chair are gonna be at the top.
That's right. We're just jelly of the beards.
The beards are weighing us down.
Yeah.
All right. So give us a little bit of history, give our listeners a little bit of history on why this seance was there and what the Roff House is.
All right. Larry, all right. Larry wants me to do it. No problem. I roll. It's how I get down. So we have this story of this young girl. She was born about 1847 by the name of Mary Roff to an Asa and Dorothy Roff, right? And early into her life, about 4 years of age, 3 to 4 years of her age, she started having clairvoyant impressions. And her parents, of course, don't know what to make of it, right? And this is going on and going on, where she is sometimes in distress. She's cutting herself to relieve herself from the pain. She's putting leeches on herself to relieve her of the pain. Somehow or another, this is relieving to her. Back in that day, psychiatry was in its infancy, right? And a lot of the ideas is to send these children to mental institutions. This girl was sent into a mental institution because the thinking was do away with the children, save the parents kind of mentality. This child's having issues. Parents aren't going to be able to solve it. So let's throw the child in a mental institution. And back in that day, they used to have these cages, like almost like things were children's cribs, but they were a cage. They would have these cold and hot baths that they would be punished, where they would have to sit there and lay in these hot baths for hours upon hours. And, this water would get cold. So this young girl, about 18, I'd say 65, at about the age of 18 years of age, passed away, right? So this young girl passed away. And the parents, let's just think as parents for a second. Our child is only 18 years of age, and then she passes away. How traumatizing! Number one, I have to put her in an institution. She dies at an early age. Then all of a sudden, what am I going to do? So about 14 years later, in the same community of Watseka, Illinois, in the same community where Mary Roff lived, Asa Roff. This wasn't the house that Mary Roff built, the one that you guys went to, the Roff house, by the way. This was after her death. This house was built. Her father, Asa Roff, was a spiritualist. He built the idea off of spiritualism. He built the house. So this young girl named Lorancy Venom, 14 years after the death of Mary Roff, was inhibiting the same kind of clairvoyant things going on in her life, which is odd because they were only lived blocks apart, actually.
Oh.
The whole town of Watseka, and it's not to say anything bad about the topic.
No, of course not.
There is something very, very odd. I get emails from people. I get phone calls from people. Hey, Neal, check out my house. There is something very odd about Watseka, Illinois. So this young girl, she's about to be sent off also to a mental institution with the same mentality. Do away with the kids, save the parents mentality. So then what happens is that Asa Roff steps in. He hears about this. It sounds just like my daughter. And he says, hey, give me a minute. Maybe I can help her. So he brings in his Dr. Winchester Stevens, right? He's a hypnotist. And he comes in there and he hypnotizes Lorancy. And different spirits are going in and out of Lorancy Venom, right? And all of a sudden, a girl by the name of Mary comes in. And she starts recognizing the father, Asa and Dorothy. And she starts to tell people that she's Mary Roff. And she looks at her arm. She says, this isn't my arm. My arm's in the grave and has a cut on it.
Wow.
This is all documented. This is a very documented story. It's the first documented possession in America. But the thing is, it's called a walk-in. A walk-in is when a spirit or a demon, but in this case, it's a spirit, walks into a host, which there is Lorancy Venom. And what happened was she told everybody in the spirit of Mary Roff that she was going to inhabit her body for 100 days. And that Lorancy Venom was going to go for healing in heaven, spiritual healing in heaven for those 100 days. And then after those 100 days, she made an announcement. She goes, it's time for me to go. So we have these two things that are going on. We have healing for Lorancy Venom through Mary Roff, and also healing for the parents, Asa and Dorothy Roff, because think about it. If you had a child, if you had one more chance, just one more chance to be able to have your child one more time, wouldn't you take that?
Hands
Absolutely.
down.
Yeah. So in this case, they had that chance for 100 days. So the idea, I came up with the idea because I've known about the story for a while, and I've known the owner for a while, and I've done ghost tours there. So I said, why not come up with an idea based off of this, where we can actually help spiritually heal people? There's a lot of things that's going on in the world, and a lot of people, they hold it in. Think of it as like, in Scrooge, where all of a sudden Marley comes around. He says, you got all these chains in life. You have all these chains. Think about all of us. We all have all these chains in life, right? And they're holding us down. If we could, DeEtte can help release that from one moment at a time for them. That was the reason in the rhyme for what we were doing. Sure, if we could make our contact with Mary Roff, great. But of all those people that were around the circle, if we can help them anyway, that was the point to my concept idea for this.
Oh, that is so good. And that is so much more than I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
It has layers.
absolutely. So
love
many
it.
layers
Yeah.
to the story and the event.
It's
Listen,
like an onion. You've presented us with an onion, but a
delicious
delightful onion.
Delicious
deep
onion.
fried with a
Yes.
delightful dipping sauce.
Absolutely. You cannot forget the
Yes.
dipping sauce. All right. So you guys decide to get, do this thing, right? And have this motive of healing and I'm sure giving relief. And then Larry, where do you come in?
So when Neal first approached me about the idea of doing the event, from the very beginning, there was always the idea to film it as a documentary, because the seance itself was going to be this experience, that this almost unknowable experience. Like we didn't really know what was going to happen. Were we going to get Mary Roff or Larancy Venom, or were we going to get the people that were there? It's like I wasn't sure. At that point, I'd already been to 2 seances, and I never participated in them. I'd only kind of sat on the outside and watched, so I didn't know what to expect. But he approached me to do a documentary, and I said, "Yeah, I think this is something we could do. I've never seen anything like this before." And what a great way to not only tell the story again of Mary Roff and Larancy Venom, but to put almost a modern twist on it. Because
Right.
not only are we in the area that they both inhabited in one way or another, right? We were outside of the house in the yard, but yes, it's called the Roff house, but it's also called the Watsika Wonder, right? Like it was a spiritual miracle. It was a healing miracle. Didn't we also kind of achieve that ourselves? And now we have this documentary, which will hopefully be done in May. And we'll be able to share the stories of all these people that we as in DeEtte, not us, but well, I guess you too, Neal. The 2 of you connected with. I just sat there.
I believe
the
walked
we
around
made,
with a large
That's true.
rig on
I
you.
I walked backwards very smoothly sometimes. A couple times the ground was uneven and I went, whoa. But we're
Be
going to be
ready.
able to share these stories and show people, like the miracle of Watsika isn't done, because we were able to do it again.
Yeah.
Right.
And you
DeEtte,
know what? One thing I'd like to say is, just so everybody knows how this really started, was number one, I did contact Larry. Okay. Now this is what's so weird about this.
I know where you're going with this.
All right. So this is what's so weird about this. Okay. I came up with this concept idea, and I know I called Larry, and Larry goes, "Oh, what's Neal going to talk about today? What's he going to bother?"
Neal always has the craziest ideas.
Yeah, I do. I can't help it. It's what I do. And so I call him and I give him this idea, right? He says, "Yeah, that sounds like let's do that, right?" So then I did not know DeEtte. Okay, I knew of her, and what happened is that I put out an advertisement off my website, my Facebook thing. I need a psychic medium to do a seance. And this one other girl did it, but I had DeEtte in mind. For whatever reason, I had DeEtte in mind. And I was like, I hope this girl reaches out to me. And she tells
This
me,
girl, this
Yeah.
schoolyard
this
girl.
lady, sorry, this
Young lady.
This incredible woman that we see.
sorry. So I hope this lady reaches out to me, and she says that she wants to do this because I had this feeling, right? And the weird thing is that I did not know. And the minute that she said, "Yeah, I'll do it," because I got the phone call from her, and she said, "Yeah, let's do this," right? I called Larry. And I didn't know that they were best friends. I really didn't. I did not know.
How did you miss? First of all, how did you miss that? It's everywhere. They
I
are
don't- you
never
know what?
separate.
No, they love each other very much.
Just so you know, I didn't have the kind of relationship that I have with these two right now. Okay.
This was in the beginning, what, like March-ish?
April. It's March, April, something like that.
So
And
you and I only talked a couple times at that point.
yeah.
So
It's
Friendship
just
is
weird.
forged.
right.
Yeah. It's just
Wow.
weird.
All right.
So I thought I'd just put that in there.
It happened to be a little strange that it worked out that way. I agree. Because Neal was all excited. He's like, I got DeEtte. And I'm like, that's my best friend. I get to work with my best friend.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Cool. So maybe we could actually hear from her now.
Yeah. How about that?
I guess.
Sorry.
There's a reason you guys are down there.
I'll shut up now.
The ladies are talking.
DeEtte, first of all, that's with knowing the mission of, having it be sort of a healing scenario for people, I could not imagine a better fit.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite honestly, just by being you make everybody feel better anyway.
Oh, thank you.
It's the truth. I have promised not to lie this episode.
She told me that. It's true.
Anyway, so have you ever done a seance on this scale before?
No. And if we turn it back a little bit, when Neal put that out for the seance, I did not know there was going to be a documentary at that time. I was saying yes to a seance.
You're like, oh, what? 5 people at table? No problem. Let's do it.
I knew it was going to be a lot of people. Neal told me, when I said how many, Neal said, well, we're going to shoot for 250. And I went, okay.
No pressure.
Not at all. And I went, okay, we can do this, and I just went, it's going to be what it's going to be, and so I initially thought I was just showing up for Saturday night, and it wasn't there much longer that, I found out Larry was involved, which meant I knew I was going to get kidnapped at some point in time. I just didn't know what time it was going to be. Oh, wait, you know, we're astounded.
Absconded.
Facebook doesn't like when I say kidnapped. So, and it was really neat to go through this whole process and, just go. It felt like, for myself, I got to know Lorancy and Mary and Dorothy and another wonderful woman that flew the skies, so I got to forge this amazing, relationship with Neal, strengthen the one with Larry, and really connect with some incredible people from the past.
I bet.
Not to mention John, who's amazing.
We're gonna figure out who that is.
John's the owner.
Just okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who John is, but I feel like I should know.
No, I know who he is. It's fine. Listen, we're going to talk more and get more into detail about this seance right after this.
For those of you naysayers, I want you to know how much I appreciate how many of you grabbed a hold of my small package after last week's show. It is out and available. You can get both of my books, The Other Side, A Guide to the Paranormal and Ghost Hunting, and my brand new book, Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness. Both books are out. One, of course, kind of a how-to ghost hunt book, and the other story book of strange supernatural occurrences all around the world. You can get your hand on my small package by just ordering it right off of my website. You can go right to paranormal60.com, scroll down on the front page there, or go to the shop and scroll down and you'll see our book bundle. And I was so humbled by the fact of how many men put their hands on my small package at the end of last week's show and bought it. It was great. It made me feel loved and wanted. I'm not going to lie.
Listen.
Wow.
First of all, who's that guy?
I don't know.
Wow. That's all I got to say is, geez, can I touch that small package just once, please?
Somebody got lucky. A lot.
Somebody made that ad just to frustrate me further.
Yep. Yeah, he sure did. Oh. What?
It was Winnie. Winnie did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We love Winnie. And Dave. I
Yes.
guess, whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And a small package.
They made the stand
And a
much
small
harder for me.
package.
You guys don't even realize that part. So
Anyway, so we were talking about this seance, and so DeEtte, you mentioned something when we were talking just briefly before the show, that when you go into these things, what does that look like for you? Because you said something about like not remembering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how does that, can you explain that experience as best as you can?
For myself, number one, I'm always in control. I just care not to be there. Does that, I don't know if that makes sense. So it's
You're
not
letting someone else drive your flesh car.
Yeah. When it comes to channel, and if we blank statement as channeling is basically communicating with an energy or communicating with somebody on the other side. There's different levels of it. Mediumship is really a light channel. Then you have kind of what I did at the the seance, which was a light trance, just enough to get my consciousness out of the way and let spirit come in and kind of speak the way they wanted to speak. I could even go deeper if I wanted to in a different atmosphere per se, less people, more controlled setting. But for this one in particular, it was just go into a meditation, really kind of get myself deep enough to where my consciousness just moves over a little bit and allows spirit to come through. And let them use their own words, kind of use my body as their vocal piece is basically what we let happen.
I'm amazed that you could get any kind of meditation that evening because it was very cold.
What you do not see on camera, because Larry is amazing at hiding things. I had a beautiful Milwaukee sweatshirt on, and I'm sure hopefully my hair and or my scarf were covering the little red light showing that it was on. I know I don't do well in the cold, so I had bought a heated blanket from a store that had a battery operator on it.
Smart
I had a
lady
behind me that I was sitting on that was doubled up to block the wind from that area, and then I had these black thermal gloves that like retain the heat back to me. That, by the way, don't work. Just so you know.
Noted.
I will not be endorsing these gloves that I paid too much money for. But so I had a lot to try to keep the body warm. I will tell you at whatever point it was, I can remember the cold overtaking me because at that point I started to hear Neal. And I could hear Neal going, one more question, one more question, one more. And I think I heard it like 3 times and my body was coming out of it. And I was like trying to force myself to stay out, but the body was naturally coming out just because of the cold.
Yeah, he said
it was what, like 40 degrees that night?
Yeah, it was.
It was a little chilly.
He did say one more question like 5 times.
He was in the moment, though.
He was on a roll, man. He was on it.
Listen, as the guy that was recording everything, I was just like, yeah, one more. Yeah, one more. Let's do another one. Give me more footage, please.
I told Larry after the fact that, you know what, if we ever did it again, I had one request. We have a long tablecloth with a heater underneath there so that we have that heat generating back from us underneath the table, which I think would have been a huge difference. But we didn't know it was, we should have thought that time of year it'd be 40 degrees that night. But honestly, I know Neal was checking the temperatures and literally that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it was 80 today. So like,
right. You never know. It's the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I do have a request for the next one that it is not in October. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
like maybe June, August-ish.
How about a June, July, Neal?
Well, as Larry would say, Neal's always coming with crazy ideas. You never know. You never know.
Or inside. How about inside? Yeah.
That would be all those people in.
What Neal's vision was.
Outside was also very nice, though. because we had the opportunity to use those tiki torches,
That's true.
which
They were not.
The
you guys
ambiance
don't know
was
this
top
yet,
notch.
but
Yes, it
the
was.
footage of like Neal and a random person standing next to a tiki torch and that light flickering off their face, it looks amazing.
Well, it
Well,
was
that's
almost
all
my
we
hand
need.
warmers. I'm telling you, the tiki torches almost came together into one big bonfire. But we were outside for a while, and it was just so fascinating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, DeEtte, do you have them sort of play back any of the seance, not like the recording, but do you have anybody who you're with while you're doing this, like, come back and tell you sort of what happened, or you just prefer not to know?
This one I'm really normally I don't want to know. This one, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, there's so many that you have to be.
Intrigued because I'd asked Larry after the fact, like how many messages came through, and he said upwards of 20. He said maybe 30.
Maybe 30.
Sure. And I was under for an hour. That's incredible
Wow.
to know that much came through. And I'm like, and it made sense to people. And he was like,
oh yeah,
yes, like you were saying a few words and people just knew. And I was like, that's incredible, because in a mediumship reading, it can take upwards of 3-4 minutes for somebody to go, yes, without a doubt, that's my person. So
this was like automatic.
The one thing that I want to make mention of is there's someone that Neal was standing next to in the outer ring of standing people. And you guys were in the standing ring. That was every bit of 20 feet away from DeEtte, if not more.
Yeah.
So, this lady and Neal were talking, and they're talking quietly. I'm 5 feet away, and I could barely hear her question. And then Neal was going to reiterate the question louder so that DeEtte could hear it.
Yeah.
By the time the lady asked Neal the question, before Neal could repeat the question, DeEtte had already answered it.
Right.
That happened a few times. I noticed that happened a few times.
Yeah.
There's no way she heard that.
Yeah.
Definitely a few times.
It wasn't at a volume where DeEtte would have heard it, and she had answered it before the question could even be finished.
Right.
Or even like the person asking or Neal to ask it. It was just amazing.
Like she already had it. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing else is that I was telling Larry, and I know I haven't told you, DeEtte, because when me and DeEtte, we met the next morning, I was exhausted. We met at the hotel, and I said my goodbyes. I said, I'll talk to you later. When everybody in the beginning, I'm standing behind DeEtte, if you remember, right? And so I hear voices, and I get it impressed. I hear things, right? So I'm hearing whispering. I'm like, is this DeEtte? Is talking under her breath? What is this? So I have to find out. So I start moving over to my left a little bit to come around. And I'm like, is that DeEtte? Like, is she whispering? What's going on here? And because I want to find out, but I'm hearing this whispering going on. And I didn't see her lips moving, because you're going to see me originally behind her. And then I move over to the left, and I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to stop anything. And I told Larry that. He goes, why didn't you say anything? I said, it's because I didn't want to stop the flow of what was going on. But when I was moving over to my left, I did not see her lips moving, and I could hear this whispering. And I hope and I pray to God that he picked it up on that camera.
Oh,
I don't know.
Or your mic.
I don't know. Well,
or
yeah.
my mic or her mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to pull up a chat comment on here?
Oh, let's see.
So one just came in from Tabitha. Yeah.
Yeah. Tabitha's comment is pretty good. She had an experience with you, and I was amazed, and it was beyond touching. I'm so glad I got to experience with you all. So
that's the consensus that I got from almost anybody that I interviewed after the seance. They were all like, I could not believe what happened. And a lot of their stuff was, a little on the sad side. People that were people that were, seeking forgiveness and stuff like that. Like some really, really sad things.
Yeah.
But everyone that I talked to, I asked the question, do you feel like this was just a regular seance, or do you feel like there was some kind of a healing element to this? And they all agreed that they felt healed because of the seance.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy because everybody Now, DeEtte, we've talked to you before. Go listen to that episode because it's amazing. And I've talked to a couple other people just in my own curiosity, right? Because I feel like if I'm going to expose my soul to a psychic medium who I'm convinced is then going to see everything bad that I've ever done in my entire life, no one can ever ever talk me out of it.
No, it's true. They look into your soul and judge you. Especially DeEtte. She judges hard.
Just so much, right? Oh my God.
She judges me hard, at least.
I mean, she's the only reason.
Well, you deserve it.
Thanks. So we've talked about it, and the thing that everybody kind of keeps coming back to is you don't know who's going to show up, right? So whatever questions you have for somebody, you don't know that spirit is going to actually show up and answer them and even be the person that you want to talk to. But just about every single person who had a question, I don't think there was a single person who had a question for a very specific loved one who that loved one did not show up for. And that seems highly, is that unusual as I feel like it was?
I think you're right. I think everybody got an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
In my own practice, my personal readings, I will always tell somebody, once we connect, if you want to talk to the other side, we're going to do a free for all first. Who needs to come through? We're going to bring through first. You know what? And if we don't feel that's the person you wanted to talk to, after we let them speak, I will ask for who you want. And then they're going to come. They're going to come. They got this calling card that's faster than anybody else,
Well, that happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
Very early in the beginning, while we're still kind of like feeling our way through it before Neal really started asking questions. Neal, if you want to tell this story, because you'll probably remember better than I will, DeEtte started talking about someone going to the bar.
Yeah, man. That was
someone really wanted to go to the bar.
Really wanted to.
That was so weird. So actually, I think the girl that we were originally talking to was right next to Jeni because I was looking at everybody in the crowd, right? And I think that question was originally felt like it was supposed to go to her, right? But yet, what is so weird is finally people in the inner circle, me next, type thing. And this girl who's sitting right next to DeEtte, it was really meant for her because she had her friend who passed away recently. And they always went to the bar and this and that. And man, you got her, man. You were on spot with that thing. And I was like, oh my God. And the amazing thing is, and me and Larry are talking, we were talking about this afterwards, is the emotion, the raw emotion that's going on. Like I'm almost going to break down and cry because I'm feeling, when I'm touching these people's hands, I'm feeling their emotion, man. And you can see Larry starting to, because he's turning his head too.
I'm not even touching these people. I'm like 5 feet away and I'm like, man, suck it back in.
Oh, you're just a big softy.
Not Saturday. And DeEtte, you can explain this better than I can because I had your friend who did the energy work done on me, Sarah. She was choking because my energy was so like shut down and self-contained. And that's the best I can explain it. So there you go.
Wow.
Explain that better. I don't know how to explain that. DeEtte, help me, DeEtte, help.
Larry's got a wonderful military training behind him, though, that really just helps him to turn off that emotion, which I think anybody that's military, anybody that's, kind of been in combat or seen war, they're trained to shut down to do what they have to do. And Larry shuts down really well. He really does. So
I want to see work, Larry.
Yeah.
So like when Sarah's doing my reading, she was choking because of the lack of energy I was putting out or something.
Yeah.
Or
it's shutting down everything here to go, nope, can't get in. I'm not going to do this, which is really anybody that knows Larry, that's what he does initially to almost everything. what I mean? You can
Nope.
but you kind of got to get in there to find the teddy bear. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
I'm like an onion. I have layers,
So many
Deep
onions
fried.
in this episode.
and the outside layer stinks. So while we're doing this seance, I'm very much locked up tight. I'm super 100% focused in my world, and the emotions still got in.
Oh, no way.
It still hit me.
And I will tell you what, because for myself, I mean, yeah, I had a couple of people afterwards come up and try to talk to me, which were amazing. But it was about, Sarah, who was my anchor. She's my friend, my anchor, the person that ground, I was able to tie into, and she just held my energy there so I didn't float away. She was looking at me like, we got to get you out of here. We have to get you out of here.
Yeah.
The energy.
So me, her, my granddaughter went flying off, got me out of that energy, got me onto the hotel. And I got the opportunity to watch the live Larry did after the fact. So I was blown away because Larry showed emotion and just
Whoa, hold on. Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Whoa,
Hang on.
Live on Saturday night. And I went, oh, wow, this must have been good, because for Larry to really show, me and Larry are really good friends. Yeah, Larry believes in what I do. He was really good friends with Scotty. He believes in Scotty. But in the general, Larry does not believe in psychic mediumship. I mean,
it's a short list.
Yeah.
It's
a short list.
He's
very
mentioned
bold. I mean, I've asked him, he's like, you, Scotty, that's it. So for him to be touched to that point, really told me that spirit sold him 110%.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was just like one after the other. And I'm telling you, so I absolutely was restraining myself from asking questions. First of all, it wasn't about me. It was about observing and seeing all this, because we knew we were going to talk about it on the show, right? And then the girl next to me, she raised her hand a couple of times, and then it became imperative for me to get somebody to notice this girl. And she did. She had a wonderful experience.
Oh,
what? I just raised. I just went like this a lot. I used these arms.
I
saw you doing that. I saw you doing that, and I came over.
Yeah, waving my Kermit arms for good.
That's right.
Oh, finally, instead of war.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Usually they're used for war.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like it. I want to hear more about your akimbo arms right after this.
Oh, hey, Tressa. Jeni? Oh, I'm just reading my book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader. I'm reading the book, too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah. There, I like your shirt. I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt, too. Oh, that's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com, too. They have really great stuff. A full variety. I know, right? They have everything. Shirts. Tote bags. Clutches. A phone case, I think. It's the best.
Man, that sounds like a great website. I think
I know. I think it exploded Larry.
I think it did.
It's gone.
There.
He couldn't handle it one more time.
There is a trance.
I think he thinks it's a bathroom break. What's going on there?
DeEtte, how long does it take you to recover from something like this? Because I would only imagine that it's like insanely draining.
Sunday I was still on this big adrenaline rush. So here I was thinking, oh, I'm doing great, blah, 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 but really was this huge adrenaline rush all day long. Yesterday was incredibly difficult. I was exhausted. I took a ton of vitamins, drank a lot of water. Today, my brain feels like it's there, but the whole body's like, blah, So I'm really.
Do you feel like you have a cold? Because I feel like I've got a cold now. It might be that we were outside in the cold. I don't know.
Yeah, it might
like
be.
garbage.
I do a lot to protect myself from getting sick during this period of time because my body really is so depleted. I take a lot of potassium, a lot of magnesium, a lot of vitamin D's. I'm drinking water. I don't normally go to caffeine, but I cannot tell you how much caffeine I've put in my body in 2 days just to be able to go, I'm here. So, but I think I'm at the tail end of it, and I'm really hoping after another good night's sleep, I'll wake up tomorrow going, hey, let's hit jazz fingers, do this. So, yeah, but it takes a few days.
I would imagine it was so, and because you've told this story before, which just blows me away, just because I'm so I don't know, skeptical is the right word, but a little bit like I want to logic things out, right? And one of the things that has blown me away the most is when you talk about how much you actually had those measurements sort of taken after something like this occurred, and that you were actually depleted, and there's a physiological.
Yep.
Jeni, explain what measurements you're talking about.
That time too.
Yeah. So if I'm correct, you had you had a blood test taken, and like your potassium was next to nothing. Your magnesium, I think.
My magnesium was next to nothing. My vitamin D was next to nothing, and my sodium had rocketed through the ethers. It was so high, and it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal, except for, quite frankly, a week prior is when I had my general checkup with my doctor. So all those labs are already taken. All those were beautiful. Everything was great, So exactly 1 week later, Larry absconds me. I get jumped. Life is great for about 5 hours of vomiting. Get to the ER later on that night. They take another set of labs, and it's like I've got nothing left in my blood system.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
So when I abscond with you two, make sure to bring a barf bucket and a whole bunch of these vitamins, and you'll be okay.
Well,
I don't want to do
I
that.
prefer to throw up on my absconder, so no to the barf bag. But I will take the vitamins. I will.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a healthy
I
one.
mean, like this, I did a lot of protein before, last week, a lot of protein, a lot of vitamins, I'm prescribed potassium, prescribed certain amounts of magnesium every day when I'm going to work. So literally I was hitting my body to the hilt coming up to that event, ready to it, because I knew it was going to deplete a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like no one could have predicted the amount of people who kind of came through.
Oh, me and Neal could. We were keeping track the whole time, and he's like, "Hey, we hit your number that you wanted for the seance," and I was like, "Yes, let's go!"
Not for people who attended, but for people who
came through.
Yeah, like the spirits who came through.
Well, the more people that attend, the more likely there's going to be more spirits. So
okay, all of us.
Like I was telling everybody at the beginning of it, I told them, that's why we're here. We had up to about 150 people there. And in the beginning, I talked to everybody off the porch. I said, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach out. So by doing that, I was trying to get everybody ready for what this is all about. Because some people, they walk into these things and they're like, oh, what is this? So I'm letting them know this is your chance to release. Mm-hmm. This is your chance to make contact. And you see me, I walk around, I go, this is your moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then during my talk, I told them to not look at the camera lens, but if for some reason they got too close to the tiki torch and they set themselves on fire, to make sure the camera was turned before they started screaming.
Yeah, that's just good. Come on.
Yeah, and then if you have to look at the lens, we'll get through it. But otherwise,
I'm sorry, I did not look anywhere but the lens. I'm really sorry about that.
I was so good. I was amazed at myself. I did not look at the lens.
I'm quite the fetching creature. I get it.
Yes, you're right behind the lens. How could I not?
Also, there was like a giant thing.
Put a lens right there in my face, so that's not not on me. And I think my eyes were shut looking down, so I think I obeyed.
You looked and sounded weird. Like Neal and I talked about this because like DeEtte talking right now, she's very like this and smiley and high pitched.
Yeah,
DeEtte
she
was in
had
the
her
seance,
channeling voice. She was channeling, and
Yeah.
you could
Wow.
tell that she was channeling other people because she did not sound like DeEtte.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No.
Even the movements were a little bit strange. It was like
It was weird.
when she would turn, it was like
very
this great, it was like a whole body turn and just like
Yes.
it was very,
And her
very
eyes
odd.
are closed at all times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her head was down. She didn't pick her head up. She was like this. Just
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. She kept flicking me off though. Should I have been concerned about?
It's probably
No,
muscle
you're
memory.
Well, was I standing between you two? Because that might have been it too.
Oh yeah.
I did want to say one thing is, because I'd heard after the fact that, somebody really wanted to hear from the ladies of the home,
Right.
Dorothy and Lorancy and Mary. And the one thing, obviously, I don't think they're going to catch on camera, and they're not going to catch it. And I talked to Larry and Neal after the fact. I knew Larry had, because I called him during it, Larry had raked that whole area, so there was really minimum leaves. All I could hear in my head, though, was walking in thick leaves. And all I can say is if, big dresses walking through thick leaves is what I could hear in my head. And it was like one would be walking this way, one was walking the opposite direction. And there had been 2, 3 at least walking around the Séance, that area, the whole time on me.
Wow.
So
there might have been a few leaves that fell because I crunched them. I saw them.
No,
but
it was
it was clear.
Multiple. It was like they were walking through a woods of leaves.
Yeah.
To me.
What was the vibe you got off of that?
Whispering was.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, very,
maybe.
very possible.
Maybe. So my thought, and I've been talking with Scotty Rourke a lot, and he kind of beats me over the head with things sometimes. And he always says,
I don't think that's legal.
Like
the
that?
first thought is the thought you're supposed to go with. The second thought's BS.
Yep.
Yes.
So my first thought was that Lorancy and Mary didn't want to communicate with us because they saw all these spirits out there, and they're like, "You guys got this. We'll talk in the house. Let them do that."
Right. Like I get that because that's exactly what my thought line was. It's like,
Right.
I don't particularly, now that I'm here, I don't particularly need a question answered, right? Except for maybe like, hey, where'd you hide the gold? Or
right. Where's One-Eyed Willie's gold?
Hide the gold.
right. I mean, that was my only question.
And don't yell it, DeEtte. Just tell me later.
I even gave her one of these real nice like flashlight pens for her to do her automatic writing, and then she didn't scribble a single thing.
You know what? So you know what, John? The next following day, actually, it was yesterday. Yeah, Monday. I talked to him. He's the owner, John Whitman. He's the owner of the Roff House, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he called me because he said, "Hey, I think you left something behind." He goes, "Neal, I need to talk to you." He goes, "We have a big uptick in activity in the house." He goes, "It's a little bit more than usual." I said, "What's going on, dude?" And he's like, he goes, "I'm here." He was in the house by himself throughout the whole weekend. And he's like, "I'm hearing dishes rattling. I'm hearing pounding near the door. What was the other thing? Walking around the porch." He goes, "I keep going out there. Nobody's out there." So I don't know if, because you had all these people there.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
All at once.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like it goes back to the thing of like, do spirits follow you? Maybe something's not haunted, but spirits follow you.
Well, and you were asking everybody to really sort of dig deep and pull out whatever energy they could, to sort of fuel the séance. So
plus, besides for the séance, we had teams and groups cycling through that house all day. You had people very fixated on the spirits on every floor. And I'm of the opinion to where, like, if you and I are talking right now, there's an energy exchange between us. If I'm talking to a spirit and people are talking to that spirit all day long, it's just feeding them more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that everybody's gone, they're like, "Hey, where's the party? Where'd everybody go?" Like, what? Where
is that the time where they tell you where the gold is?
It must be. It must be.
Where is this gold you speak of, woman?
There might not have been any gold.
If I knew.
But they did save John's floor, though.
Dude, this is crazy.
Yeah. So
this is so crazy. Go ahead.
Neal's out of the house. I just got back to the house. I was filming some drone shots of some of the buildings, and Nat and Elliot come up to me and they're like, "You're not going to believe this." And I'm like, "Shoot, I've had a great day. Why not?" So apparently, over one of the spirit boxes on the second floor in, I believe it was Dorothy's room, it says something along the lines of to go and check the bathroom. So Nat goes to the bathroom and the plunger in the sink had fallen in and the sink has a slight drip and the sink was almost overflowing. And the spirits saved the flooring of the bathroom, which was carpeted. So that would have really done some damage.
What are you doing with carpet in the bathroom? People, come on.
It's an old house.
But and so I get a text from Natalie. Because in like any event that you do, there's things going on and off all day long, not going correctly. And all of a sudden, Neal, I don't mean to bother you again, but we seem to be having a problem with the plumbing and this and that. I'm like, what is going on now? I have to run back to this house. Then I find out the whole storyline, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird.
It's weird, but it's cool.
Neal, you don't know about this, but Larry does, because earlier in that day when we were driving down, my granddaughter, who's in the back seat of my car, is with me, and Sarah, my healer, is in the car behind me. And out of nowhere, my granddaughter starts telling her, "You need to go to the water to heal. You need to go to the water to heal." Has no clue what she's talking about. Not that big of a deal. We're just going, well, whatever that is. Okay. John was actually on Sarah's table. Yeah. Well, first I walked Addie around the house, and Addie actually seen the dripping water, and she goes, "Nani, the water." I said, "What about it?" And she looks at Sarah. She goes, "That's the water. Not a big deal." I'm going, "It's just a drip. It's not that big of a deal. Keep walking." John was actually on Sarah's table when you got the text or the call from Nat.
Yeah. So I went up to John, and I didn't even want to disturb it because, man, this guy's getting this really great massage, right?
It's great. Oh, is it great?
SJ's giving this massage. I'm like, oh my God, I got to bother this guy, man.
I know.
And I'm like this. I go, "Dude, we got a problem, man." And he's like, he goes, "What?" And I go, "Listen." I go, "We supposedly there's a leak or something like that." And he goes, "All right, just go over there and go underneath the sink and turn it off to cold." I go, "All right, I got it." I go back to your thing. And it was just so weird. And there were other things going on earlier in the day, but just there's always havoc that's always going on when you do these events. I'm telling you, it's just weird.
Listen, after the fact, Sarah's the one that came up to me and said, "Yeah, she told me to go to the water to heal it."
Oh, that's crazy. You know
That's
what?
Great.
I don't know.
Save the carpeted floors. Just
save the floors.
Save the floors.
Could you pull up Lisa's comment from Facebook?
Perhaps.
Well, we figure. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Lisa says, "I just wanted to say I attended the seance with friends, and while I didn't speak, they did. The piece you gave them is amazing. It was beautiful. Thank you all for what you do."
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I know. It was incredible. And standing there and looking at it, whatever your belief system is and whatever you think is happening, there was no doubt that people were getting something that they needed.
100%.
Forgiveness or contact or reassurance that their loved one was okay. And even myself, like these questions that I always have. And I thought, oh, hey, I'm going to ask something. And maybe sometime in the future I would, but even myself, just that reassurance and sort of like that hand on your head, like going like, you don't need to worry about it.
It's fine.
Like, I'm okay. And I'm with you and I'm in there. And, I helped raise you. So I'm there. You don't need to, you already know. You can talk to me anytime. Not said like that because that got a little weird.
But that was around what a lot of the answers were. Like, I'm here. Like I'm here. Yeah. You don't need to wonder. I'm right next to you.
Why are you even asking me this? I'm leaving now. Goodbye.
That was a lot of answers.
There was a lot of need there for people to hear that, and that was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't remember 99% of that, but a lady came up to me after the fact, and she didn't know she was talking to me. She had no clue because we were in the dark, and she was telling me about how amazing her experience was and how it was great, and And she goes, and it was so weird. She goes, because she was telling me about my dad and how we were, I could, she was saying how you heard me stumbling down the hallway. You need to turn on the lights. And she goes, I about lost it. And I looked at her and said, well, why? She goes, because just yesterday, me and my husband were talking because it sounded like somebody was coming down the hall and fell into the wall repeatedly.
Oh my God.
Oh.
And I'm looking at her like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
I didn't know that one.
But all of a sudden,
That's a great story.
My face hit the light and she knew who I was. But I was like, if details like that came up, how can you deny it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like you knew these people, except for, the two of them, but that way, two of them.
No.
But,
we're just dupes. We weren't doing anything.
Sit down. Everybody was it was really in the shadows for me.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, we have a lot of stuff to wrap up here.
Oh, I see how it is.
Shut up, Larry.
You.
I know at least two of you have podcasts, and we're going to have links to websites and podcasts and everything in the show notes. But give us everything you got, starting with DeEtte, because she is a beautiful lady.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, my website is DeEtte.us, so it's DeEtte.us. Anybody wants to find me, contact me, talk to me. It's a great way to locate me. I do put everything else on my personal page for Facebook, which is DeEtte Ranae. So that's another great way to follow me. Or they can find me Monday mornings on School Through Spirit on my podcast, which is on the Edge Network.
It's fantastic, and I love it. You boys can fight over who goes next.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Go, Larry.
I'm easy. The best place to find me.
Yeah, we know.
Stop.
Boom.
Carl, in one of your comments, said that there were some beautiful people here, but he didn't specify at first, so I took it as he was talking about me and Neal.
He wasn't.
So I was like,
It was the
stop.
beards.
It's the shine you guys got going on.
They groomed before, right?
Only
beforehand.
one of us looks like Santa. So ho 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 boo. So the best place to find me is on Facebook. Same name as below here with the blue check mark. That's how you know it's me. And then from there you can find my website, Small Town Productions, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, my event schedule. It's all on Facebook. I share stuff from her. I share stuff from him. I share stuff from these guys. So Facebook's really the best place to go for me.
Yeah.
Neal?
Take it away.
Yeah, so my thing is called gravesideparanormal.com. I do ghost tours throughout the Chicagoland area. We have this thing that I've been doing for the last 9 years called the Nightlife Tour. It's a 4.5 to 5 hour tour. Tell you all the history. And me and Scotty Rorick, the man, the myth, the legend. We have the Paranormal Guys podcast. Quick shout out to Scotty Rorick. Keep praying for Scotty.
Yes.
He's going to need a lot of strength. It's going to take him a long time to get well. So if everybody can keep him in your prayers, that'd be great. And one last thing, me and Larry got a big thing going on Halloween night, dude. We got the Lyric Theater where we went in there for 2.5 hours in Blue Island, Illinois, 2.5 hours, and we got a whole bunch of evidence. And we're gonna show the whole evidence at the Lyric Theater in Blue Island, Illinois, this Halloween night at 7 p.m.
There you go. There you go, Tressa. Why don't you tell everybody how to find us?
Oh,
that's a new thing I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's weird. You guys, this was such a great idea that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And made it happen in no time. Like, wow.
I know, it really did come together.
Well, yeah, when she asked for pictures, here we were. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
So thank you all for making the time for this, especially after that weekend where we're all exhausted and emotionally exhausted and all need naps, because it was an amazing event. It was so great. And everyone who missed it, you missed out. Maybe next time. Maybe do it next time.
Yeah.
Just a gentle chiding by Tressa.
Everybody else, go to monstersloungepodcast.com and see our stuff or whatever. I don't have my notes. I'm sorry.
All right. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, Tressa, myself, or Monsters Lounge, or visit the website and buy some stuff. Or just tell me how cool it is.
Yeah, do that.
We love hearing from everybody.